TGCRequiem, we are back with Modern. We're playing Black Red Reanimator, or Rakdos Reanimator. We're going to be on the play here. This looks like a good hand. I'm going to keep this. Hopefully we can Thought Seize away any chance of our opponent stealing the Blood Moon on us. So we're going straight for a basic swamp here. Off the marsh flats, the opponent's probably going to think we're playing Obzon. Dredge. So unfortunately, Blood Moon's not very good here. They can't cast any of their creatures, and so that's positive at least, but we're going to take the Cathartic Reunion. It's the best card they have in their hand to get the process going on their end. And we're just going to have to hope to get a somewhat fast draw. Through the Breach is good, so Through the Breach is going to make me want to play Pentad Prism first. Let's not say Blood Moon's terrible, but still could delay them from being able to cycle their... not cycle, but Life from the Loam. Makes their conflict rates a bit weaker. Right now they still don't have any way to get creatures we know about on the battlefield. So actually using conflict rate right off the bat to get the cards into the graveyard. So I think we stick the Blood Moon here, and then we start to look to use Faithless Looting to... I mean, they're just going to be dredging, so it's not like this is too bad. But now they at least can't cast Life from the Loam. Unless they drew a land, they don't have a way to trigger the Bloodghast or Prized Amalgam. Alright, looks like they do. Really are going to need like an Emrakul off this Through the Breach. Grizzlebrand's pretty good actually. So I think we're going to pitch the Black Cleave Cliffs, the Blood Moon. We can actually Through the Breach Grizzlebrand in combat to gain 7 life, draw some cards, killing one of their creatures. They Dredge Stinkweed, didn't trigger anything. We have Murderous Cut. Question is whether, I guess we have Faithless Looting. We could recast Faithless Looting. I don't know that we can really afford to go any lower than we are, so I think we just take this as is. We do have Murderous Cut to handle an attacking creature. And so long as all they're attacking with is Bloodghast, we're kind of okay with that. We have Pentad Prism here if we need to use Fatal Push or Murderous Cut. Okay, so Narcomoeba means we're going to have to kill at least probably one of these prized amalgams. We also need to kill the Narcomoeba here. The reason we need to kill the Narcomoeba is it's a potential blocker after everything lives. If they get enough amalgams on the battlefield, the Annihilator trigger. I mean, we have kind of locked off their Conflagrate path, although they slowly just build up cards by dredging. I think we're better to not kill the Amalgam yet. We want to wait till we have to. Yeah, I think we actually want Thoughtseize. Alright, so two Goryos. The question is, do we want both Emrakuls? I think so. Or do we pitch the Thoughtseize in case we draw, or we save the Thoughtseize in case we draw another Emrakul? I'm going to pitch the Marsh Flats. So as it is, we kind of need another Goryo's Vengeance. Through the Breach is a live draw as well. Faithless Looting, Cathartic Reunion. Bloodghast are going to get in. Give us about one turn. To draw out of this. That's not gonna do it. We're on the play. Okay. It's okay, we actually have a pretty decent sideboard for the matchup. Anger of the Gods is very good. And Heal Spellbomb, very good. Rakdos Charm can be pretty good if we can get one Emrakul in or so. Damnation will buy us some time. We might actually want Quicksilver Amulet. Usually the Dredge decks are running Leyline because they really just need the card in their opening hand. So we're probably playing a faster game. I mean, Pack Rat potentially could be good if we get it online early enough and they don't get too quick of a start. Leon of the Veil is pretty terrible. That's an easy cut. Murderous Cut I think is a bit weak considering we're so weak to what's the card I'm thinking of? Leyline. So Murderous Cut ends up becoming a really weak card if you have to cast it for 5. I could see cutting a little bit of the graveyard like Faithless Looting and Agorio's Vengeance to bring in Quicksilver Amulet. The thing is if we also have to be fast, and so maybe we don't have the ability to fight that way. I'm thinking Pentad Prism probably goes, though it does give us a chance to get to the Grizzlebrands. My concern with it though is that hardcasting Grizzlebrand seems a lot more realistic in this matchup if we're talking about them being under Blood Moon. I suppose Collective Brutality is also good. I would take Collective Brutality probably over, maybe over a Cathartic Reunion. But Hand Disruption's bad, so let's pull the Inquisitions. The Thoughtseizes are kind of two-directional. They work for us as well, so we'll keep those in. I think that's what we're going to roll with. I mean, Slaughter Games is possible that we could bring that in to grab, like, whatever their little prized amalgams are. Just not confident we're going to get that. Okay, so this is actually a pretty good hand. However, no mana, so I actually like this. I think I'm going to keep this, as risky as it is on one land. Being able to Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, and hold the Heal Spellbomb with the Anger of the Gods in hand, which is a phenomenal catch-up sweeper. I think this is a risky enough one-lander to go with. I'm going to lead on Thoughtseize. Opponent's probably mulliganing to a Leyline. Of the Void, which is part of why we're happy to have a Quicksilver Amulet as well. going to start with Thoughtseize, try and buy us some time. We are going to go with the Blood Crypt, just to help with that double red towards anger. Assume our opponent will lead on a black cleave. Yes. Whoops, wrong artifact there. On turn, creatures you gain control trample, and whenever this creature deals damage, draw a card. Aftermath. Until the end turn, creatures you control gain menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. So nothing worth spellbombing here. Again, we're just trying to get into a position where Anger of the Gods is good. This 1-2 punch could play pretty well for us if we're able to buy enough time to get to it, draw the lands that we need. Alright, so Anger of the Gods is good now. Plus, keep in mind, we can recycle these Nihils with Emrakul shuffle triggers. We also have Rakdos Charm in the sideboard, that's pretty good. We're looking to Quicksilver Amulet into Emrakul pretty quick here. We're actually looking to be able to set up an Anger, Quicksilver. Actually, we may go Quicksilver, then Anger. Then Emrakul, I don't know. I don't know what our opponent can do if we just go Quicksilver and then Emrakul. Unless they can put out a really fast clock. So they weren't able to trigger the prized amalgams, and if that's the case, I think we pretty much have this one. They really needed him on the battlefield last turn. Perfect. Alright, so we're just going to go Sideways Blood Crypt. Oops. Hopefully they don't. You know what? Shoot. So they still do have that Ancient Grudge sitting around. If we throw down Quicksilver Amulet, that kind of puts us into trouble. I think we're just going to actually have to hold up here. That's a bummer. But again, we're still in good shape. We have Damnation, Anger, Fatal Push. Our opponent's not putting any pressure on us as of yet. Draw a card off the Stinkweed. Stick a Bloodghast. And here comes everybody for a nice big angry sweep. I don't know that we need to yet though. We could just take this turn to play Damnation. Spellbomb is so good right here. So we can get rid of the Ancient Grudge. Let's think about this. I could actually cast Spellbomb. So we're definitely getting rid of the Ancient Grudge so we can Quicksilver. So I think we just Anger of the Gods and then eat the graveyard. That shuts off their dredging. Allows us to Quicksilver next turn. They may have dredgers in hand, but probably can't do too much with it. I think we let them dredge. If they go for the Ancient Grudge, then we eat the graveyard. Don't think they can actually fetch for a upright green source this turn, so they'd have to wait till their upkeep or draw step. Stinkweed Imp's fine. Now the hope here is we're going to draw into like a fetch land or something to trigger Fatal Push. So that way we don't have to worry about Stinkweed Imp being there to block Emrakul. We want 2 attacks with Emrakul, not 1. Problem here is they're just going to be able to dredge these Stinkweed Imps back. Really comes down to whether or not our opponent, I mean, I suppose it's not all bad if Emrakul shuffles the graveyard. We get access to the Nihil spell bombs again. I suppose if we Emrakul and wipe out all their lands, we can then Damnation and they can't recast Stinkweed. And then that buys us time to get back, but then they could also dredge back into the win. So it's a little dependent on what our opponent does. So we're definitely not blocking Stinkweeds. We're going to attack. The hope is they sacrifice their lands in the hopes of dredging back into the win. But then we draw stronger creatures before they get wide enough. Yeah. So presumably they attack with both Stinkweeds because... Oh, they didn't. That's very interesting. So first thing first, we're attacking with Emrakuls. We're going to get them to sacrifice ideally all of their lands. I mean, I could see them sacrificing maybe just like 1 or 2 Stinkweeds. They can leave 1 to block, so they sacrifice a Stinkweed, like 4 or 5 of their lands. Oh, anger is so good. We're going to keep 1 Thoughtseize. I don't know, with Quicksilver, I don't know that we actually need to keep Thoughtseize, so I think we actually pitch the Thoughtseizes here. I like the rest of the cards, so we'll just wait to see what we draw. So we can turn on the Fatal Pushes. We have Anger of the Gods. Do we need Damnation then? Honestly, I don't know that we need Goryo's Vengeance right now. I suppose if the opponent draws into an Ancient Grudge, so... Oh, you know, and the mistake there is Goryo's Vengeance. We don't have any way to enable it. That's probably a mistake. Probably should have kept the Damnation. We do need to be careful about them drawing another land. They can activate Scourge Devil then. Alright, so they're going to Life from the Loam some lands back. So I think we take out one of these Narcomoebas here. Heck of a long game for Dredge. Pack Rat's pretty good. We can discard Goryo's Vengeance. Our opponent could certainly conflagrate our Pack Rat, in which case we can respond by discarding the Goryo's Vengeance. I still think if we draw like a big creature, we're most likely going to just Quicksilver Amulet, so ideally we can get the Pack Rats big enough that they outsize Anger and close that way. I think they only can really 0.1 point of damage at Pack Rat. Our opponent already played Mountain for turn, so they can't return Bloodcast this turn, so really it's irrelevant. We can cast Life from the Loam. Yeah, we're getting in trouble here. I can see them Life from the Loaming and then conflagrating, killing the Pack Rat, and doing the rest of the damage to me. Seems aggressive to do that now when they could get the win the next turn. Yeah. Right, so we're just dead the next turn. One. Well, there's only one land. So maybe we are okay. This is where we wish we had not pitched that Goryo's Vengeance, because this would have given us the win. Probably should have just blocked with Pack Rat outright. So they have one turn to kill us. I think they can do it actually. So they're going to be able to Life from the Loam. They have Cathartic Reunion. They have a land to trigger Bloodcast. And then they can conflagrate. Unless we can get rid of the Narcomoeba, I don't think we have any way of annihilating enough of their creatures. Granted, if they sacrifice their lands, they may not have enough lands to conflagrate for lethal. I think we're going to lose here. And they theoretically could Scourge Devil here, but it doesn't really offer them a whole lot of value. Scourge Devil gets, we get black, Emrakul black, so we take one. Then they conflagrate. I mean, they could play a land to get Bloodghast first. Yeah, they may have enough to conflagrate then for the win. Right, so if they play a land, Bloodghast returns. They then unearth Scourge Devil for 3. They attack with 3. It's 1 damage for Scourge, right? So we block 1, 2 of them. We take 2. That puts us to 7. I think they can only put us down to 1. Yeah. So that's going to be it. They were able to get enough out there that they can get enough creatures on to live through my attack back. I mean, short of me drawing a second Anger of the Gods post-shuffle. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anger of the Gods wins it. Down to 7 cards in their library too. Anger of the Gods. Come on, baby. If we keep Faithless Looting and cast it, we just have to discard whatever we draw. I mean, assumption is they just sacrifice their creatures. The Narcomoeba can block. Suppose... Let's think about this. Well, if we Faithless Looting and we play the... Yeah, we still have to discard our whole hand, so... We could Fatal Push an Narcomoeba. But the fact that they have 2 Narcomoebas is really like all that matters. Darn. And I was so certain we had this game won. Sure. And a Confluence, presumably. That silly Narcomoeba. Think about how close this game was, though. So we're dead at this point. I mean, our only chance is that the opponent, like, dredges twice. Presuming they dredge with a Stinkweed Imp, that puts them down to 2 cards in the library. Like, maybe we'll get lucky and they try and, like, Faithless Looting, blah, blah, blah. But really, so long as they play land, they get Bloodghast, they can then Scourge Devil or Conflagrate for the win. I guess they can't Scourge Devil for the win. They can Conflagrate for the win. Right? Maybe not. They put us down to 7. They can only Conflagrate us for 6 right now. Okay. There we go. And then Conflagrate for 8. Good games. So we lose 0-2. Again, hot cold. 2-0, 0-2, 2-0, 0-2. If you enjoyed the match, next match for this deck will be, or for this league will be on the left. On the right hand side, we'll have a link to a playlist for Reanimator or Goryo's Vengeance decks. And then in the center, you can subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed.